first time was nice because like it was like 10 people. Like there were some pretty good people, but there's some like okay, like my level. But then yesterday it was like only good physical players. Like the game's just different, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And especially because like their level of like a lot of them do foul, like not me, but they just foul each other, but like they just play through it.
Yeah.
Right? But like for me, it's like I like to play like very like intramural, like co-ed level ball, you know?
Yeah, you just did it. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so Richcraft for me.
Yeah, whatever. As long as you know what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, also like I fucking hate playing inside. Like who would do that? Like it's
Like
I don't
in
know.
the paint?
Yeah, like I'm so happy Steph Curry came like into existence.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Stretch 4 podcast. I'm your host, Peter Tran, and on the line I have my pick and pop partner, Josh Cohen. How you doing?
Fantastic. Game of the year is on tonight. I'm very excited.
What? What do you mean game of the year?
Kawhi's return.
To San Antonio? Lol.
That was a week ago, Josh.
Now Kawhi's return to his true home.
His true home, the furthest place he actually wants to be.
Or as he describes it, that foreign country.
Well, it is that foreign country, man. You ain't lying.
So there's that place in Texas and that foreign country. I wonder how he describes Los Angeles.
Home.
Home.
Alright, banger in the paint. Rajan Walia, how you feeling?
I'm actually excited about tonight's game. Not as excited as Josh, but I think it'll be entertaining to see how he does and how the Raptors respond if they're going to play hard and try to get that double W and really show Kawhi what he was missing out on.
Yo, did you hear that the Raptors are telling fans to show up at 6:15 for a 7 o'clock tip?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I think some fans will show up, especially the ones that paid like above market value for their tickets, because like the ceremony is going to start. Yeah, exactly. So the ceremony is going to start at 6:30. That's why they're telling everyone to get there at 6:15. Because I thought it was a 7:30 tip, but now that makes sense when they say 6:15, 7 o'clock tip.
That's still wild, though. You're planning for like a 20 to 30 minute ceremony for one guy?
He deserves it.
Man, all you gotta do is present the guy with his ring. What's he gonna do? Do a speech?
They should do another parade for him today in the streets
Jesus.
before the game.
It's too cold for that here. This ain't June anymore, man.
They need to do something else for him. He deserves it.
They put up they didn't even put it up. New Balance put up a billboard for him.
Damn.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they put up a billboard in Dundas Square saying like, "Thank you, Toronto," or something like that. Something really generic.
I see. No shirt though.
No boardman shirts.
Over under 22 words for Kawhi's speech today.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
Under.
I'd take the under.
Hey.
Funny if he just went up there and
you.
been like, "Thank you, Toronto," and then that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it'll be something you guys have been great.
Yeah. Something real basic, man. Kawhi's not gonna talk that much.
22 is a generous line.
Maybe 15.
Yeah, 15's more like it.
Maybe he goes like Hulk Hogan heel turn and just like totally goes against the crowd. He's like, "Yeah, I hate this country. I'm glad I went home."
Maybe he's got a Raptors jersey under his Clippers warm-up shirt. And then he just takes it off and plays for the Raptors tonight.
Nah, I sort of like the heel turn more.
No, you
I want to see him go full villain.
I want to see someone take off a jersey and play for somebody else. Like, how wild would that be? That's like Mighty Ducks kind of stuff, man.
It would be nice to get another W.
Yeah, you think they're going to win tonight?
I think they're going to be fired up tonight, so I think it's definitely possible. They almost beat them in LA.
Yeah, that's when you guys were riding hot, though.
It was a back-to-back, too, and Kawhi only had 11 points.
Yeah, now he's got PG.
Yeah, it's a different animal. I think the Clippers are probably gonna win this game. I feel like Toronto's gonna be riding high, but sometimes when you play with too much emotion, the shots don't go in, and I feel the Clippers are just going to steady the ship and pull this one through.
So also,
and if Van Vliet doesn't play tonight, Toronto doesn't have much of a chance anyway.
Yeah, that's much more of an issue, I think. LA is favored by 2.5.
Oh, I'm pounding that.
You think so, eh?
Yeah, like I took the Clippers at -2.5 against Indiana because I knew it was going to be a Paul George revenge game.
Oh, that was great. Pounded the hell out of the Paul George line that night.
Yeah. But no, I think the Raptors, again, like it's been a known phenomenon in sports. Like sometimes you can be overhyped for a game and have a bit too much juice going or too much adrenaline and the shots don't fall. And, that happens like in all sports. So I feel like this might happen with Toronto, tonight, but I expect it to be a close game, especially with it being in Toronto.
Okay, now, does Pascal Siakam get out of his slump? The guy's been brutal for the past week and a half, ever since people started talking about him being a top 5 MVP candidate.
Yeah, but he hasn't been brutal. It's just he's cooled off quite a bit, and
no, he's been awful to watch, man. Like he can't create. His stats aren't good either. He's shooting 35-40% at most over the past 2 weeks.
That's what happens when you play against the better teams.
Yeah, he's playing against lengthy defenders, and they're just we know your moves, bro. Your herky-jerky spin moves aren't going to work anymore.
And he's getting a bit more attention from other teams as well. Like they're sending doubles or they're sending an extra body and making him more of a passer. And last year, obviously, he had the benefit of having Kawhi the primary scorer. And I don't know. I feel like he's going to break out of it and he'll learn how to pass out of the double teams and how to manage getting better looks and not forcing it. But it's also interesting. The Raptors haven't been quite the same since Lowry came back, so it might just take time for them to get their chemistry back.
Did he and Van Vliet have a game together? Or 2 games together?
Yeah, they were together up until, I guess, the Houston game where Van Vliet went out after about a minute and a half.
So it was 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Dang, man.
It just changes the whole bench dynamic, right? Because these guys are playing 15 to 20 minutes a game, and now a lot of these guys are barely even playing. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson only played, I think, around 10 minutes in the first game back for Lowry. And
I think that's more
a lot
of
the guys just aren't playing as much.
That's probably more Serge coming back, though, than Lowry. Right?
That's both those guys, right? Because all the guys that were playing well are not playing as much, so...
Yeah, I feel, especially with, players like Lowry and Ibaka, they're veterans. I feel Nick Nurse knows that he's gonna need Lowry and Ibaka, but I think we're so early in the season, we're only, 23 games into the season. You can ease them into the lineup. Obviously their ego might take a hit, but if you ease them in and still keep the bench hot, you're gonna have a fresher Lowry, a fresher Ibaka come later in the season. I didn't know what the purpose of having Lowry play 33 minutes in his first game back was. And I don't exactly remember who they played, but I don't think he played particularly well. He shot 0 for 8 or something from 3.
Oh, that was the Miami game, right? Yeah. Yeah, they are struggling.
Yeah, but they're just hitting a hard part of their schedule, too. They beat up on the really bad teams, and they're pretty good against the average teams, and then against the elite teams, you just want to go, maybe 35-40% of your games, especially with, Toronto's not as good as people thought they were earlier in the season. I still think they're going to sell the farm come the trade deadline.
Oh, man, I got to rewind to last week when you were saying Chris Boucher is the best player in the league.
I still love me some Chris Boucher. When Serge gets traded, that guy's going to take off.
F out of here, man.
Boucher's good, man.
This guy, eating your words so hard.
Yeah, we're going to have to rewind that back. We should have a segment,
Call it all back.
Yeah, call it all back, rewind, replay.
Instant replay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so what are your thoughts? I know we probably talked about this earlier, but the fact that the Raps decided not to give JV and DeLon Wright and CJ Miles a ring, what are your thoughts on that?
Why would they get it?
Well, I think JV played a pretty important role in the team, that season. I think he played enough games to warrant it. I think the issue is, if I'm the Raps organization, if I give it to JV and I don't want to give it to CJ or DeLon, that's a tough situation to be in. So you'd rather give it to no one.
Yeah, that's so silly to think that just because he was there for a long time, he should get it. Or that just because he had a brief stint with the team earlier in the year that he deserves it. No, man. He didn't contribute in the playoffs.
But it wasn't a brief stint, and also you have to get to the playoffs, and he definitely played a pretty important role in helping them get to the playoffs.
Nah, by that logic, you gotta put like Rudy Gay to get one too, because if it wasn't for his trade, then Kyle Lowry wouldn't be here.
It's not the same season, not the same season. Like,
you know who deserves one more than anybody?
What?
Chuck Swirsky. That guy should get a ring.
Yeah, I'd give it to Chuck before I give it to any of these guys, even DeMar.
Well, of course, I'm not saying DeMar deserves one.
Oh hell no, DeMar ain't getting no ring.
It's the same logic though, is what I mean, right? Like you traded this guy, he's off the team. It doesn't matter anymore.
True.
Yeah, I don't know what the standard policy is for championship teams if they give like a ring to all their staff too. Like, does a janitor get a ring?
It depends on the team. Like some organizations stop at a certain point in their staff, but other ones just go with everybody. Like the
with the Raptors,
the
I heard that they gave
everyone.
rings to a security team. So
What's that?
I heard the Raptors gave rings to their security team. So I mean, if they gave it to them, then you might as well just give it to JV too.
Yeah, the thing is, does CJ deserve one then?
No, he sucked. So get the hell out of here.
So I think that was the issue. I feel like if it was only JV traded, they might have given it, but like they didn't want to give one to JV and DeLon and CJ. So.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if we could find data on, previous championship teams and if they actually gave rings to people that were on their team during the year they got traded. But I doubt it. Seems unlikely.
I don't think that's a thing. I know you have the ability to, but I don't think anyone gives out rings unless they were there in June.
I honestly don't know the research, but like maybe that's for the next podcast to find out or to talk about. But I know that the statement the Raptors had officially come out with is after consulting with like league policy and like our standard and our organization, we decided not to. And so maybe it isn't a thing, but I do feel JV out of the bunch that maybe potentially could deserved it the most. But it is what it is, and hopefully he'll get one with Memphis in the next 30 years.
Yeah, whatever. You just got a soft spot for the guy.
Yeah, I do.
He's the only guy that consistently showed up in the playoffs those years.
Yeah, I mean...
It's the truth.
I mean, Leo's there.
Yeah, but Leo didn't really show up. He just collects a paycheck. They need to get in the paint.
Ugh, that guy's the worst. Alright, can we move on, please? I want to talk about your boy, Josh. Chris Paul. Can we just talk quickly about this guy just snitching on everybody that he sees?
Yeah, explain yourself, Josh.
Hey, anytime you can gain an advantage and gain an edge, just like we were talking about with betting as well, you gotta take it. And that one instance helped them win the game.
It wasn't the one instance. He did it twice. So the first time on Friday, I think it was Friday night, he basically just told the ref that Jordan Bell, who was checking into the game, didn't have his jersey tucked in during a free throw. We've all seen this, right? Like, as the guys walk towards the paint, they tuck in their jerseys. Or even when they're standing, waiting for the shot to be taken, they tuck in their jerseys. CP3 just crying out, oh my god, no, his jersey's not tucked in, his jersey's not tucked in. Boom. For some reason, the ref calls a tech. Which made
it was a delay of game warning, which was their second, which Chris Paul knew, which resulted in a technical foul, which eventually, they were able to... Karl Towns was the big reason why they, won that game in making that second free throw with a second left, and then Adam bombed that pass to Schroeder.
Crazy ass
And Jeff
pass.
Teague decided to just get on the wrong side of him, and, that was history.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect way to describe Minnesota over the last couple of years, though. Like, just a bit sloppy, non-disciplined, underperforming. But I do agree with you, like, in the sense that Kat did make a mistake making that free throw. Like when I saw the free throw, I'm not sure if he was actually trying to make it.
No, he was trying to miss it. I think he missed the first one, and then he was told to miss the second one as well. So if they get the rebound, time to go off the clock, obviously, it'd be very difficult to pass it down court, and then he accidentally made it.
Yeah, it looked like it. I guess none of us will know for sure, but I think...
No, they said after the game that he tried to miss it.
He looked pissed when he missed it, or when he hit it too. Yeah, he knew that he was supposed to miss it.
He also looked very pissed at Jeff Teague for getting on the wrong side of Schroeder. Like, how do you get boxed out by Schroeder?
It wasn't boxed out. He literally just ran past him.
He also kind of stopped running because, like, obviously he was on the wrong side of him, and like the pass was a perfect pass. Like, we're talking like Aaron Rodgers accuracy, but yeah, that's Minnesota. And then obviously to come out in overtime and like let OKC go on like a 10-0 run to start overtime. It's very Minnesota of them.
It is classic Minnesota. But the other instance of Chris Paul being a little bitch this weekend was calling at the refs to tee up Carmelo Anthony. Same thing. Just because he missed a shot and started clapping. Come on, man. Josh, talk to your boy here.
He does whatever it takes to win.
This is absurd.
That's a winner.
Such a loser.
I have a question for you. Who was actually, like, by fans, a more despised player? Is it Harden or Paul?
Harden. Not even close.
Definitely Harden. But Chris Paul isn't as relevant anymore.
Yeah, but I feel people get irritated by Chris Paul as well. But yeah, Harden, but by players, who's more, like, of a piss off then?
Oh,
Chris Paul is more irritating to watch for people, I think. Or I guess he has more irritating instances, I think. But overall, nobody likes to watch James Harden.
Yeah. But I think players respect Harden more than they respect Chris Paul.
I don't think so. I think players are really pissed off at James Harden and his ref baiting and is trying to get around the rules.
Yeah, but players don't hate playing with Harden as much. CP3's teammates literally hate playing with him.
I think unless you're like Ben McLemore, you would absolutely hate playing with Harden. That's, I think, a big reason why Jimmy Butler didn't want to go there.
Well, Jimmy wants his own team. Jimmy gets buckets.
But again, you have to be a very specific type of player to be able to, play in that system where you just stand in the corner and don't move pretty much the entire game. And you watch a player just dribble out the shot clock and throw up some junk. I mean, the math says it goes in just enough. I mean, if players stop fouling him behind the three-point line, I mean, the numbers would not work out, right? Because he's shooting like 31 or 32% from three. But because he gets all those three-point fouls, the math works out.
I mean, I guess, but I think I'd rather play with that than having my quote-unquote captain berating me about playing bad defense all the damn time.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, as a fan, I don't like either player, but like for different reasons. I think Harden just found a way to like maximize the rule, so I can't really hate on that. Like, he's pretty much the New England Patriots. A lot of football references in today's episode, but
he is the New England Patriots.
He's found a way to like just maximize the system, like use the rules to his advantage, and he's not stopping other players from doing so. He just does it better than anyone else can, and good on him. Chris Paul is just like yes, it's fine to find ways to get an advantage, but there's also like, I don't know, right ways to win. Like, you don't want to be like diving and flopping and stuff and winning games. Like, you could win like that, but I don't know. There's not much pride in that.
Yeah, I guess you don't need pride when you're making $38 million a year.
Yeah, you can buy pride other places.
What's next? Can we talk about the Knicks firing their coach, David Fizdale, and not really having planned to go afterwards?
Yeah, I can say that's very Knicks of them. But I think like the Knicks are in a situation where their team not only was not winning games, like they absolutely had no identity. And like I haven't watched many Knicks games because I want to maintain my sanity, but like the games that I did see, or the highlights that I did see, like a lot of the time you had Julius Randle dribbling the ball up, or Marcus Morris initiating the offense.
Stay off the weed.
Like, who's the starting point guard for the New York Knicks?
RJ Barrett, apparently.
And like the team had no identity. Like Mitchell Robinson, like a player who had a great like season last year in terms of just development, getting more minutes, is barely touching the floor. He's obviously gets in a lot of foul trouble as well, but they have no plan. It's like they're playing these old guys like Randall and Morris when you know they're not going to be around in 2 or 3 years. and they're benching the young guys, which hopefully you would think they decide to actually play because they either keep them or they have an asset that they can trade for a pick or for a future player later. And they're doing neither. So I think it was a smart move to fire Fizdale. I think a lot of other people need to leave the organization. And like, what are they going to do in the interim? Like, I don't think they're going to get a coach this season. I don't think anyone wants to go there without a few more star players or a bit more of an identity or an off season to rebuild that team. Like, no coach is going to be like, give me the New York Knicks and Julius Randle and Marcus Morris and Alfred Payton and all these players. Like, no. Like,
I think they will if the money's there.
Yeah, but I think there's other prospects of coaching that are going to be available probably after the season for the good coaches to go after and an easier situation.
Also, my call dropped there. Do you guys actually agree with the firing?
Well, I agree with the idea of it. I don't know if it was going to do them any good. Like, I think you ride Fizdale out until like later in the year and then fire him because like, I don't know if you're going to get much change or nothing's really going to drastically change in the next couple of months. Like, you might as well just ride him out.
Yeah, I think Fizdale was he's more of a scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly. It's not his fault the team is awful. It's the management's fault.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think it's like a defense mechanism by like whoever's the GM or like the president, James Dolan. Like, of course he's the scapegoat. Of course they've had bad off season, but like, I think they're just trying to show their fans that they're trying to win because they're trying to sell tickets. It's like a short-term
Yeah, but the fans
game.
are smart in New York, right? They know what they're doing, and it's been 20 years since they've really been relevant. That was the 1 year where Carmelo was playing the 4, and they beat, whoever it was in the first round. I think it was Boston.
2012.
Yeah, it was
Great
a long
year.
time ago, but, besides that, they haven't been relevant since, like, the Spreewell years. And fans have been calling for rebuild, and they keep bringing in these veteran guys who, they're very average players, and they really have no plan besides giving hope to their fans every couple of years that, this named superstar is coming available, and we're going to get him, but we really have no plan how to.
Yeah. Like, I agree. I'm just saying, like, even if they did bring in the veterans, I don't, like, it depends on the price, but I think this year they didn't overpay anyone, like, drastically. Like, yes, like, Randall got paid. But I thought they brought in, like, pieces that were, like, unreasonable contracts, like, okay. But the thing that's just baffling is, like, look what New Orleans is doing compared to what, the Knicks are doing. New Orleans is playing their young guys. Like, they're playing the Josh Harts, they're playing the Jackson Hayes, they're giving Lonzo Ball minutes. Obviously they still have the veterans like Drew Holiday, JJ Redick, Derek Favors. Obviously Derek Favors was out injured for a bit, but they have some veterans, but they're using those players more in like a complementary role. And they're still giving their young guys like a bit of a run, like a bit of experience. Cause next year, either they trade those young pieces or they rely on them a bit more and a bit more. But what New York's doing is like, half the time you watch their lineups, they're running a lineup with like Marcus Morris, Taj Gibson, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, who's like the young guy who's getting minutes. And then they have like, I don't even know who the fifth starter is, like Peyton or, Dennis Smith Jr. maybe playing. And like the young guys like Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, they're getting like no minutes.
Yeah, I said in the off season, what they should have done if they had decent management is gone the Memphis route and taken on bad contracts or first round picks. And then you'd have these veteran guys who are on expiring deals or maybe a little bit longer, to where it still doesn't really affect your cap space, but at least you're getting a first round pick back for it. Whereas with the direction that they went and getting these veteran guys, they're not going to be worth first round picks at the trade deadline. Like Marcus Morris, maybe, just based on how he's shooting this year. But the rest of these guys are not going to warrant first round picks, and they should have just taken on salary for the next couple of years until the Giannis Bowl, to where they'd have enough first round picks to maybe trade for a star player and then hopefully get Giannis afterwards, right? The way they do things is just not smart, and they keep trying to convince their fans that they're trying to win. And the fans are smarter than that. They know that these players together are A, not a good fit, and B, just are not going to win together. So they're basically stuck in purgatory like they have in the last 20 years.
It'd be great if the fans stopped paying into them. Because even if you know that the team is, they're not performing, the management is choking every year, you just keep buying those tickets, they're not going to change anything. right? You're just reinforcing bad behavior.
Yeah, but I think the market's too big. Like, of course, if they start losing a bit of money, it will affect them, but the market's so big that they have to fill a stadium worth 20,000 people in a city of like 7 or 8 million. Like, they're gonna find people to buy those tickets, unfortunately. But I agree completely with what you said, Josh. I think, like, also, like, the young guys they have, like, if you name, like, their rookies or their, like, players under 3 years, like, they have RJ Barrett, they have Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, I think Dennis Smith Jr. is in his 3rd year.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Besides RJ Barrett, like, are any of those players getting, like, significant minutes?
No, and again, that's a problem too. But Mitchell Robinson should be playing at least 25 minutes a game. He's actually pretty good.
He's great, man. If he stopped fouling so much, he'd be so good.
Yeah, like, he's averaging 20 minutes a game. 21 minutes a game. And again, I think they should have completely gone the New Orleans route. Like, they should have just built a team. Like, New Orleans was like, hey, we're exciting, we're young, we're going to play with energy, we're going to play the new high tempo game. Instead, they did the complete opposite. So, yeah, I feel like the Knicks are going to be the Knicks, and they're going to nick, and, like, they're not going to be a very good team, probably in the next couple of years unless something changes
No. They'll blow it up. They'll do the usual thing. Alright, let's move on. Do we want to talk about the Cavs? I have them on the rundown, but I don't know, man. Cavs are kind of boring. Kevin Love wants out. It's kind of obvious. Tristan Thompson is defending the coach because he's getting playing time for once. That's a pretty quick summary.
For once, he's putting up some numbers this year.
Double-double numbers?
He is.
Like, easily double-double numbers?
Yeah, he's putting up like 12 and 10.5, I think.
Yeah, they're 5 and 18. That's great. He's just getting his value back up there, earning his contract, and then hoping... Yeah, you know he's trying to get out of there. Let's be real. He's being a company man, saying all the right things just so any other team will take him on.
I also love how the reporters are now, making up rumors saying that he wants to be in Toronto, and like Toronto's been going after Tristan Thompson. Like, we're not going to get Tristan Thompson unless we trade Serge or Mark. Like, he can't play power forward.
And that's like the craziest downgrade. Yuck.
Yeah. I don't know. Him and Serge are around the same level, I think.
Yeah, but I still would rather have Serge. For this team, I'd rather have Serge.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the shooting to create a bit more space.
Exactly.
And they're both expiring contracts too, so trading them for each other doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right. That was the quick 2 minutes on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
But we can talk about Kevin Love.
We didn't have champagne, so we took waters.
Fair enough.
That's it.
I had chocolate milk.
Do we want to? He wants out. It's pretty obvious.
Where does he go? Quick word. Or does he go?
Well, he wants to go to Portland.
Yeah.
But that would mean they have to trade Whiteside for him. And I don't think they would do it.
You don't think that they would do that?
Not for his contract.
I don't know.
He's got a few years left, man.
He has 3, I think.
Yeah, at least Whiteside is up this year. And then they still have Nurkic coming back.
Yeah, but they're also in win-now mode, right? So if they're able to get Kevin Love for Whiteside, then you have 4, really good starters.
Yeah, I guess.
Are you putting Carmelo as a good starter?
No, he's coming out.
He said very good starters, okay? He's a very good starter.
My apologies. But no, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he does go to Portland, but it won't happen in December. It would happen at the end of January, early February, if he does go. The reason being, I think Nurkic is slated to come back around January, end of that, and they want to make sure that they have some cover at center. I'm not sure how long Zach Collins is going to be out for, but I think they want some cover at center because they're pretty thin there with the injuries they have now.
I think the team that needs a trade for him is Utah.
Oh man, can we talk about Utah? Jesus.
They've been rumored to, be going after Kevin Love for a long time. Like, the trade before was like favors and some picks, but now it's, obviously a little bit different since his value is a lot different as well. But if they were to get him, like, he'd be a great fit there because he's got Rudy behind him to protect him. Whereas if he went to Portland right now, for Whiteside, for example, or even, Bazemore and a couple other bad contracts, you would still have a defensive issue with Portland because they just, bleed points. Yeah. But you get him on Utah, who struggled offensively in moving the ball and also shooting the three. I think he'd be a great fit there.
Yeah, I think also that would help because that would move Bojan Bogdanovic to the three, and they would have, I would say, on paper, one of the best starting five, if not the best.
Yeah, only if his shooting is contagious and Mike Conley learns how to shoot again.
Yeah, where is Mike Conley? He's on the milk cartons for.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's injured right now, but even when he was playing, man, this guy is having a rough start to the year. His shot just has not been dropping.
Yeah, like they need to play in Memphis and hopefully play him like the 48 minutes so that he can learn how to play basketball again, and then hopefully that carries over for the rest of the season. Because, like, I think I was with everyone else and expecting Utah to be kind of a sleeper in the West, especially with the two LA teams, and I expected them to be like a top 4 seed, like kind of fighting with Denver and to be a real dominant force, and like they have been nowhere near that. Although every year this seems to be the issue with Utah, starting off slow for the last couple of years, easier schedule down the stretch. And at home, we talked about this last podcast, but I really think if Utah doesn't figure it out, by like Christmas time or like early New Year, like I think they could be in a trade situation where they're really trying to upgrade because I think they want to stay relevant.
Yeah, Utah's got to do something. They either have to improve their bench, which has been awful the entire year, or just go forward with their starting lineup and just have 5 really reliable starters and then hopefully get something out of 2 or 3 guys off the bench come playoff time.
That means they'd have to move Royce O'Neal or something, right? Because he hasn't really been performing either. At their starting 3 or 4 position? Somewhere around there?
4, because he's stronger than Bogdanovic. But, yeah, offensively, he doesn't really do that much because they already have, 3 guys who handle the ball a lot. He's a good fit player. He's a good fit, I think, on a lot of teams. Like, he's really good defensively. He just doesn't shoot that much, even when he's open.
He's a very good piece, but he's more like a 7th, 8th kind of guy on a pretty good team, not even the best teams, but he's kind of like what you would expect Norman Powell to be, right? But obviously Norman Powell plays the 2. No, it's true. Like you don't expect him to be a starter in the league, but like a very good piece guy.
No, I think he's a starter. I think if he shot more, he'd be a lot more effective, but I don't know. He's sort of like OG last year, where OG just refused to shoot, but now OG's, rectified that. So O'Neal's just got to let it fly. He's actually got a good shot, too. Like, he was really good in the playoffs last year, too.
Yeah, he's a good player. He just needs some confidence. And
in the playoffs, he was averaging like 15 points a game, and he was running pick and roll, so he's capable.
I also think he's a bit undersized to be playing the 4.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, based on their lineup, he's definitely undersized. They've given up a ton of points to power forwards this year.
Yeah, so, like, again, like, I think we talked about this in the off season with Bojan Bogdanovic playing the 4. Like, I felt like that wasn't a good position for him because I don't think he's made for the, like, especially defensively, like, just playing players that play closer to the rim. I feel like he's better on the perimeter, in a defensive role. And I do think they're going to have to do something or hope things just start clicking. But we'll see. They're definitely one of the biggest disappointments in the league so far.
They need to play Emmanuel Mudiay more. And Jeff Green.
Yeah.
Mudiay and Jeff Green, man, let's go.
Oh, man.
They need to trade for Love or Marcus Morris.
Oh, Marcus Morris would be so good.
Yeah, Morris would be good.
You know that Marcus Morris is the best spot-up shooter in the NBA right now?
I think he's the best shooter in the NBA.
Well, Davis Bertans has something to say about that.
Davis Bertans dropping like 8 threes a game consistently here.
The return of the tall white guy, man. Even Duncan Robinson's going off lately, too.
Woo! My man had 10 trays last night. He's got a smooth stroke, eh?
Yeah, these guys can really shoot. Especially Bertans.
Duncan Robinson shoots exactly like Mike Miller. It's sort of uncanny.
Yeah.
His mechanics are the exact same.
Exact replica. He's probably from a small town too.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of Bertans because I feel like his range is incredible. Like he's catching it from pretty much like 28 feet sometimes and just launching it. And he's fearless. Like, even there's I think one of his last threes, like, it was like right off of an inbound, and he caught it and just turned around, and like, Charlotte had no idea what hit him.
That's confidence, man. That's what Papa's holding back in San Antonio.
All these players leaving San Antonio and realizing their full potential.
Yeah, man. You let this guy just run out there and bang. Look at him.
Yeah. Davis Bertans, best Latvian player in the NBA right now.
Davis Bertans, most improved player?
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Why not, yeah. If he continues this, he has to be in the conversation. Like, has to.
Well, if
we gotta stop giving it to second-year players. Even a guy like Devontae Graham, who was garbage last year, like, he's in his second year.
Is he only a second-year player?
I believe so.
Oh, man. At least Davis has been around.
Yeah, and like you said, like, Davis was held back in San Antonio. He should have shot it more.
Yeah.
Especially with the Spurs not being able to shoot.
This is all very true. All right, guys, pick another team to talk about. Raj, why don't you give us somebody good?
There was someone good.
Or bad, whatever you like. Because if you leave it to me, I'm going to make you talk about the Bucks or the Lakers, and I don't think you want to talk about the Lakers.
I think everyone talks about the Lakers, so I'm a bit sick of that.
Yo, did you know LeBron is in his, 17th year?
Oh, really? Surprise.
Yeah. Anthony Davis might be a Defensive Player of the Year this year.
And a fine, an MVP, like, all in one. Yeah?
Yeah. And Most Improved Player.
Yeah.
And Frank Vogel must be so pissed right now with nobody talking about him and his coaching.
Yeah, Jason Kidd might win Coach of the Year.
As an assistant.
Frank Vogel's been a good coach ever since he got in the NBA. People underestimate him.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's actually not had any bad seasons.
Nah, those years in Orlando were pretty shaky.
Yeah, but look at the team, though.
Yeah, true. He's really good at managing big stars. Like, he's great at managing egos.
And he knows how to create a really good defense around a too big lineup. Because in Indiana, they were fantastic with West and Hibbert. And now they have Davis and, Dwight and McGee, and they're making it work.
Like, he's always had a winning percentage, except his 2 years in Orlando, which, again, it's Orlando, but, like, in the years in Indiana, he's been, like, career almost, 60% win percentage, which isn't bad.
He's just a really good defensive coach. He knows what he's doing. And offensively, they can still use some work, I think, but that might come trade deadline. Like, they're the one team that needs to be trading, I think, to get another piece as a contender. Like, Milwaukee is another team that I think could also look to make a move to.
I think Milwaukee will. But I think with Indiana, they're in that tough situation because they're expecting, Oladipo back sometime soon. Soon being a little open-ended. And when you're in that situation like that, when Oladipo comes back, that's almost like adding an extra key starter. And you kind of want to wait until Oladipo comes back before you ever think about making a move. So they're a little in limbo right now. But they're playing really well. But the team I actually wanted to talk about was OKC. Not because they're particularly interesting, but because the trade deadline's coming up and they've been playing surprisingly well. I think they're almost 500. They're in a playoff seed. Is OKC going to still be a or are they going to be a seller come trade deadline, or are they going to ride out this team?
They're going to try to be a seller, but it depends which teams are willing to take on their guys, because I think the only guy that they can really trade right now is Danilo. And then Steven Adams, they might be able to move him. I think he has 2 years left in his contract.
That sounds right. He's got a friendly contract, though. He's cheap, isn't he?
No, he doesn't.
Really? I thought he was at 12.
No. He got
20.
paid.
Yeah, he's at 20 or something. 25?
Yeah, it's around 25, I think.
Oh god, it is 25. Well, my bad. That's crazy.
Yeah.
There are some teams out there that could definitely use him, though. Obviously, Boston is a team that comes to mind because they need a good defensive center that actually has some size. Like, Daniel Tice has been really good for them this year, but he's 6'9", and he's not that bulky. So, they need a banger. Mm-hmm. They need a banger in the paint. Get Raj Wally out there.
Oh, yeah.
No. Keep me out of the paint. You know what? I admire from a distance people that play in the paint because I definitely don't want to be playing in the trenches. Too many elbows out there. But what about Danilo Gallinari? Because like I've obviously heard his name floating around, and I feel because he's on an expiring contract, then he gives you like good, efficient scoring, and he doesn't need the ball very much. Like, which teams would be like in the running for him or could use his services?
Let's get him to Utah.
Yeah, teams we already talked about. Portland, Utah, teams that need like a scoring four.
Anyone. And literally anyone who needs a scoring player can use Danilo Gallinari.
Dallas would be a nice fit too.
Who do they have at the 4 now?
Well, they have Kristaps and Powell together, which has been really good for them, obviously.
Powell / Kleba.
Kleba's good too. They have a solid team.
Yeah, I don't want Danilo there, man. It's gonna throw off chemistry.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Houston's gonna go after him too, because they always go after everybody, but they have nobody to trade unless they want to trade Tucker, which would be a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a bad idea. What about Indiana?
Well,
yeah,
they would
but if you're trading with Indiana, like, you'd have to probably include Miles Turner, and I don't know if they would want to do that for an expiring contract. I think if you're going to trade Miles Turner, you got to get something significant back in terms of like a young player.
Why not trade Sabonis back to OKC?
Oof.
No
way.
Sabonis has been better than Turner this year. Like, on the court, off the court, I think Turner has had a negative value when he's on the court without Sabonis. But when Sabonis is on the court without Turner, they won a bunch of games in a row, and they've been a lot better overall, which is sort of surprising because Turner's a much better defensive player, but Sabonis is just solid.
Okay, let's get them to Orlando and add to their flux of big men.
I think Orlando's going to make a move, though. Like,
they have to trade one of their bigs.
Yeah, like they have Gordon, Vucevic, who's obviously injured, Birch, Mbamba. Like they have a plethora of bigs, and then they also have Aminu, and they have not enough guards scoring.
Yeah, they need Danilo. Let him play the 2.
Another team that can upgrade at the power forward position, Phoenix, right? Because they have Saric right now with an expiring contract. I think they have some contracts to trade too, so if they actually really wanted to go for the playoffs this year, Love or Danilo, I think Danilo would be a better fit there, but I think, they could be a team in the running too.
Love could be a good fit in Phoenix. Love would be great. Love with Baines / Ayton?
Yeah.
Ooh. 2 defensive monsters to anchor him? That'd be great, man. What do you mean?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I think the stretch 4 is a very desired position in this off-season or trade market right now. I think a lot of teams are looking for those types of players, especially to play with a 5 that plays primarily inside.
Our whole talk today has been revolving around stretch 4s. From Davis Bertans to Gallinari.
Gotta stay on brand.
Kevin Love. Man. I like it. Marcus Morris Sr.
I think you can also see a team like Charlotte trying to make a move like this too. Just trying to trade their now expiring contracts for a guy like Love who's making, $90 million over the next 3 years. Because that's what they do. They just continue to trade their shorter contracts for these guys that are like on long-term deals that don't end up helping them. So might as well continue that trend.
Oh, that's great.
That is great.
Kevin Love and Nicholas Batum out there on the same floor. Past each of their primes 5 years ago. Goodness. What about Detroit? They could use them. They could use any stretch big. Yeah. Well, trade one of their current bigs for him, obviously. More so Gallinari than Kevin Love, but I just want more shooting on Detroit.
Yeah, another ball handler too.
Yeah, Gallinari would be excellent on that team. But then
I'm not really sure you trade though. Like, who would you actually trade to get Gallinari's $22 million?
Nobody. They have no one with. Yeah, I mean ideally, but indeed, Josh. Indeed. Anybody want to sing more praises for LeBron and the Lakers?
Well, I'll leave that to the main networks to do that 24/7.
Yeah.
We forgot about one team for Danilo, Miami. Like, they're still starting Myers Leonard, right? So if you improve that spot, they're already 18-6 on the year, and you trade some of your contracts off the bench. Like, they have a lot of guys that are making a lot of money on the bench, right? So you trade a first-round pick and James Johnson. Or Dragic or one of those guys, and you got a really good starting 5.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, I know this is probably near the end of the podcast, but I do want to talk about Miami because I think they're doing what the NBA will soon become in the future in terms of, and me and Josh talked about this outside of the podcast, they're basically running like not a consistent starting five, and they just basically have like one or two pieces that they're consistently starting, and then they just base it off of matchups. Like they're really running a team that's like 9 deep. And some players will start some games and sometimes they won't. And obviously on paper they'll be starters, but like if you look at the minutes distribution, it looks very even. And I think it's just interesting because like obviously they have Bam and Jimmy Butler, but then like any combination of Olynyk, Leonard, Winslow, Robinson, Hero, any combination that works in terms of a matchup or whoever's playing hot, they just plug and play. So I think that's what the NBA is soon slowly going to turn into instead of being such a dominant starting five heavy league. I think they're going to be more like the 6, 7, 8 guys are actually going to start a few games depending on matchups. That's
only if you have quality players though, right? Like it's easy to say that, but if you have a team like Toronto where you're throwing out, Terrence Davis the third for 25, 30 minutes and he's an unreliable player, it's much more difficult. Like obviously,
do not besmirch his name on this podcast.
No, I definitely
Davis
just
has been
did.
good this year.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying. Yeah, like you need at least enough quality, but if you look at Miami, like they've really brought in some rookies and some younger players, and like I think if you look at their roster, like they need these players to perform because they don't have as much maybe depth, but like they're still playing like Tyler Hero, like he's averaging like 25 minutes a game or so. 28 minutes a game. Nunn's been averaging 30. Like even Winslow's been playing 33. Like if you just look at their roster top down, like most of their players from 1 to 8 are averaging like 25 minutes minimum.
Yeah, I think this is like the 1-star template, right? So I think Memphis did this way back when with Pau Gasol and a bunch of, like they had a 10 deep roster and they were just playing like hockey line changes where they'd have the starters play and then they bring the bench in. And I think Toronto was doing that a little while as well, if you consider like Lowry and DeRozan to be star players. I don't know, but in like the Lowry DeRozan era, they had like a lot of quality depth, and the Raptors were actually better without DeRozan on the floor because their bench was so good. So, which has been consistent the last 10 years in that teams that DeRozan is on are way better than when he's, actually on the floor.
All right. We don't need to slander DeMar anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, on Kawhi night, I have to get a DeMar shot in.
We've ripped on DeMar so much over the past year. I think he deserves a break.
And I really hope he goes to Orlando just to see that toilet bowl offense.
Nah, man, we're done here. I'm not talking trash about DeMar today. I'm done. Yeah, man. Sorry, Josh, you're on your own on this one.
Man, it must have been so depressing for him to be sitting in his hotel room watching the Raptors win the championship last year. Oof.
Why would he be in a hotel room?
Good question.
He's probably on a beach somewhere in the Bahamas. Actually, no, he wouldn't be crying. He's got a pretty good life.
He's going 3-2-1 Cancun after the Denver series.
I don't know, man. Just to see like an upgraded version of yourself, win a championship with what you consider to be your team, that must be pretty tough as a player.
The year after.
Yeah, like the very next year, all you trade for is like, it's basically 1-for-1. I mean, Pirtle's okay, but they basically traded 1-for-1, and this guy brought this team a championship when you couldn't even,
Yeah, but they did
show up in the playoffs.
They did add Danny Green and Marc Gasol, which are not, like, especially Marc Gasol, like, very good defensive player in a position where they were getting killed inside, like, in the years prior. Like, any team could drive on them in the playoffs and get a layup.
Yeah,
whether it was John Wall or LeBron, like, they would get whatever they wanted at the rim.
Still DeMar's fault.
No, it's JV's fault.
Oh, get out of here.
Sorry.
Get out of here.
No. If JV could play any defense, he'd be great.
No. Well, if DeMar played any defense, it'd be great.
Yeah, true. If they could both play defense, this Toronto team would have had a better history.
I'll take the history that we have now.
As you should. Be happy with what you got.
We're still the champs, and we get to relive that tonight. It's going to be glorious.
Hey, are you tuning in?
Oh yeah.
At 6:15?
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Alright, let's call it, guys. I want to thank everyone for listening. Please remember to rate and subscribe. You can hit us up on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Anchor, all the major podcast platforms. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Stretch4Pod. And until next time, peace.